Hey students! So you just looked at a couple of videos about synthesis, and then this document that you see on your screen right here is how to approach the synthesis sources and tackle them in the 15 minutes that you have to read and analyze them. So you'll want to look through this document. There are 6 basic steps to tackling those sources, and then you're going to practice that. Your activity says follow the above steps for one of the prompts in the boxes below. So you'll follow those 6 steps that we just looked at. You get to choose whether you want to focus on obesity or cell phone use. So I'm going to walk you through what each one of those steps will look like for this particular assignment. So when it says read the sources carefully, for this assignment I want you to time yourself for 15 minutes and get through as many of the sources as you can. Not just reading them, but really analyzing them. Follow these other steps that we're about to go over in those 15 minutes. See how far you get, and then go ahead and take as much time as you need to read and analyze the rest of the sources. For this assignment, for number 1, you'll say, I got through 2 sources in 15 minutes, and it took me 40 minutes to read the rest of the sources, or 40 minutes total to go through all of the sources. Or maybe, I'm a rock star, I got through all of them in 15 minutes. Although I doubt that's going to happen for your first time. Step 2 asks you to analyze each source. So for this assignment, you're going to identify the claim the source is making, and you'll list 1 to 2 pieces of evidence. So if there are 5 sources, what you'll do for this part of the assignment is say the claim in source A is XYZ, and first piece of evidence is, for example, 72% of people that eat Twinkies for breakfast are obese, and you'll give another statistic or another piece of evidence used in that source as well. You'll do that for each of the sources in either the obesity prompt or the cell phone prompt. And I know this is a little bit tedious, but I really want you to get practice doing this. You'll need to do this on the fly on the AP exam. Alright, step 3. Think of potential stances that you could take on this position. So for the obesity prompt, what 2 to 3 positions could you take on the issue? Same with the cell phone prompt. On the exam, you would think about these things in your head. Maybe you'd write down possible thesis statements if you have time. For this activity, I want you to write, whichever prompt you choose, 2 to 3 possible positions. Not necessarily thesis statements yet, but positions. So you might totally agree with the prompt. You might totally disagree with the prompt. You might agree with part of it and qualify this part. You might agree with something else and qualify another part. The best positions are not simple. If you come up with a super simple position, you're probably going to end up with a super simple essay. Super simple essays don't get high scores. This is the part that's going to seem a little bit strange. You're going to present your positions to the author of each source. So you're going to have an imaginary conversation with the author. What would the author say about your stance? Each of them. So would the author agree with the position of your first stance? What about the second stance? What would the author say about your third stance? Would the author want to qualify any of those? So in your head on the exam, you're going to do this super fast, but you really need to think about what would these authors say about the position that I'm thinking about writing about on this paper. For this assignment, you're going to have this imaginary conversation for 2 of your stances with any 3 of the sources in that packet. So let's say that you completely agree with the prompt. So for 3 of the sources, you're going to have that imaginary conversation. Okay? Would the author agree with your position? Maybe not. Maybe the author of that source, it's obvious that they disagree with the position of the prompt. So again, 2 stances, any 3 sources. And you'll just write out basically the answers to those questions there that you see for number 4. Alright, step 5. This is where you actually create a thesis. Based on the imaginary conversations that you've had, you're going to refine the point that you want to make. You're going to create an awesome thesis, a super strong thesis that really covers the issue and really kind of gets to the heart of the matter. So at this point on the exam, your 15 minutes would probably be up already, and you would move on to step 6, which is to actually write the most awesome essay that you could possibly write. You're not going to write an essay for this prompt right now, so you are done with this assignment. But on the exam, it really is expected that you get through steps 1 through 5 in those 15 minutes. So we'll be practicing that and kind of hoping to increase our speed of analyzing and reading sources in that 15-minute block. Because now if you were going to write this essay, you would have 40 minutes to write it. All right, I hope this was a quick, helpful overview for you of what you're supposed to do for this activity.